that transition you or mold you or shape you into where you are now?
Well, it gave me a bigger audience, which was kind of what I needed. I mean, obviously everybody needs an audience that's doing what I'm doing, but it was, like I said, I was doing these cover gigs and things. I got this nodule, I couldn't sing for like 6 months. I had to like refocus everything. And right when I came back to singing, I got a phone call from them to come out for like a private audition. And I just never saw myself as one of those kind of singers that would be on a TV show, because I don't think I have any kind of crazy like acrobatic range or anything. And I stick to like kind of one style of singing. And so the whole time it was kind of cool for me, because I was just like, well, they called me, so I'm just gonna be myself and do my thing. Because I feel like a lot of people that are really trying to get on those shows are trying, like, all right, should I sing like this person or should I sing like this person? So I just kind of stuck to what I do, and on those shows you have to kind of pick a path, and I kind of did random stuff. I did Sinatra, Beatles, John Mayer, and it kind of was hard, I guess, for Pharrell to figure out which lane I was going to be in. But I got out of it what I wanted to, since I'd started the transformation to being more of an artist and focusing on being like creating original songs and things like that. I'd already had an album out before that show, so once the show got up there, it kind of opened, I guess, more people's eyes to that creative side of me. And I'm glad it happened at that time, just because if it would have happened before, I don't know what I might have just, I don't know what I would have done, but it just helped the solo artist in me, I guess. It just helped, I guess it gave me like a new sort of like confidence. It showed like, okay, somebody like Pharrell believed in what I'm doing. So in that way, it kind of made me like, all right, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. It kind of, I feel like there's like crippling self-doubt that every artist has. And that kind of pushed it away for a while, just enough so that I could be like, okay, this is what I need to do. But it always comes back, and but yeah, it's helped me gain a wider audience, and it's helped me like know that this is like my purpose. This is, I've always known it, and now I think getting that feedback from so many people has solidified it.
Tell me about the moment of just being on stage, whether it's a voice stage or a stage in a place in DC,
Mm-hmm.
or just maybe it's just in your backyard around a campfire with your family.
Yeah.
What is it about that feeling that you would love so much?
It's just I like how deep can I get here? I'm into energy, I guess, and I think that when you're on stage and everyone's like always searching for this specific moment where you kind of lose control of yourself. You're kind of not responsible for what's happening.
Sure.
And you're connecting with the crowd that's, connecting with you. It's like this feedback loop that's just happening. And it doesn't happen all the time, And I think that's why so many artists chase that feeling, because every once in a while it's like, that was it, I got it. And then it's like a drug, like I need it again. Right. So, and that can happen anywhere. I mean, I've played shows for 4 people that feeling has happened, and played shows for thousands of people where that has happened. And so like, it's the same feeling regardless, like you're saying, like campfire or whatever. But it's a two-way street, and that was what I wasn't getting from when I was doing like those covers gigs and things, was you're just background music to people playing other people's songs, and yeah, maybe 1 or 2 people might come up to you later and be like, oh, that was great, or, but I feel like you have to have an audience that's like, putting their guard down and allowing you to kind of enter into their space for a little bit, and vice versa, because that's where it's made, is between the audience member and the artist. I feel like there's got to be a connection.
I was just going to say, a special connection.
Yeah, and so there's people that are like, oh, the audience wasn't clapping, so like I couldn't get into it, or you kind of have to create that for them, because what I've noticed, there's a lot of times people in massive groups like that can be a little uncomfortable with like, oh, should I clap now, or should, because like, it's people. We're always worried about what other people are thinking of us, and So I feel like you kind of have to allow the audience to be comfortable, and sometimes that means taking a few on the chin, like throwing a few bad jokes out there, like embarrassing yourself for a minute, just so they know, like, okay, this is cool, this is comfortable. And but I think the artist is, in some ways, in most ways, responsible for at least igniting the spark.
For sure. I like what you were talking about a while ago about being influenced by people and sometimes feeling like, should I do what he's doing or should I follow what she's doing?
Mm-hmm.
How do you get influenced but then stay true to yourself?
Well, because when I first started playing, I 100% would just copy, not creatively, I wouldn't make something that was like somebody else's. I would just in my room practicing, I came up as a blues guitar player, so I would just listen to Stevie Ray Vaughan and Eric Clapton and literally just copy their licks note for note and just try to get an idea of what was going on the guitar and what I could do with it. And I feel like the more you do that and you take from other people, eventually you start developing your own sound. I don't think it's like a conscious thing necessarily. I think it's something that just kind of happens over time. You start figuring out what parts of that you like and what parts of this you like, and eventually it comes together in a way that is you. And once I feel like you cross that threshold, after that, even if you try to copy somebody else, it still comes out in your own voice, in your own way. And I've noticed that. I still I've been talking about just focusing on being an original artist, but every once in a while you'll still throw a cover out there just because maybe that song means something to you. Maybe maybe it's a song that you think maybe someone else will connect with. And I just feel like no matter what at this point, when I played Fly Me to the Moon by Sinatra, I still feel like I'm doing it in my own way, even though when I learned it I was totally trying to copy what he was doing.
Sure.
But there's obviously things I can't do that he can do, and so it ends up just coming out like you. I don't think it's hard to really say that it's you. I don't know. I feel like you can't really try to be different. Just do what feels right to you, I guess. I don't know. It's much more complex than I could explain, I think.
Sure. It's more the feeling.
Yeah.
Back to the emotion.
Exactly.
And the energies.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. What's it feel like to venture out? Leaving kind of the safety net, everything you've always known, and
Mm-hmm.
just being like, what? I've come to my max here.
Yeah.
Now I need to branch out and do some new things.
It's like nervousness, anxiety, terrifying, but I feel like those are the feelings that, there's a book called The War of Art. It's by Stephen Pressfield, and he talks about resistance and how most people shy away from resistance, but that should be your North Star. That should be north on the compass. And so I've always tried to look at that stuff like that. So whenever I'm the most terrified I think I've ever been, for many factors, was during the battle rounds of The Voice. I decided not to use a guitar, and I've always performed with a guitar. And a big part of it was the song that we were doing. Me and Megan Lindsay were doing. Don't Let Me Down is a Beatles song. It's really emotional, and I just felt like it wouldn't have fit if I was just playing the guitar, singing the song, and looking at her. I really felt like we had to get into it, and Lionel Richie was our advisor, and he's the king of stage presence. So I just in that moment it just felt like that's what I needed to do. But at the same time, it was like learning how to be on stage for the first time ever, and I didn't know what to do with my other hand. Even just walking around, because when you play guitar, you just stand in one spot, and that was the scaredest I think I've ever been. I think if you watch the video of it, you can definitely tell how nervous I was. I think it affected my performance too. If you listen to the iTunes recording of it, it sounds great, obviously, because no one was watching, so you just sing. But that was the scariest I've ever been. But I'm glad I did it, because now, a lot of times when I'm touring and stuff, I'll do stuff with other bands that I'm friends with, or sit in with other artists, and hey, you want to come up and sing a song? And so now I feel like I can just get up there with a microphone and just sing and be a little bit more comfortable. But I think that stuff is so important. You should make yourself feel like that often. You should, because like we were talking about earlier, you get too comfy and just feel like you don't produce as much. You don't produce the same quality of stuff if you're comfortable like that. So.
Yeah, for sure. Stepping out of your comfort zone ultimately allows you to grow.
100%. I mean, that's the only way you can grow. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of people I feel like get stuck doing something that they feel comfortable with and that other people enjoy. And I mean, there's something to be said for that. I mean, like, look at AC/DC. You know, like they made the same music like nonstop their whole career. This is the same kind of music, and they're legendary. But you know, there's people. I mean, somebody I like a lot, like John Mayer, is great. And I like how every album is something new. He's always kind of challenging himself. And I mean, even like Ray LaMontagne did this. Like his last record was like almost like a pop record, and when he'd been doing this like folky acoustic stuff. So like a lot of people get. I feel like a lot of people, when they like an artist, if they try to do something new, they get like mad at them for doing something new. It's like, I can't remember who said it, but somebody was like, I don't listen to the same music all the time. Like I'm constantly finding new stuff. Like why should I have to make the same music all the time? And I feel like you gotta stretch. You know, you gotta, even if you're afraid people are gonna like it, there's always gonna be somebody that's like, oh, that's kind of cool. So,
right.
Yeah.
So tell me about a time that you were told no, and how that made you fight harder.
Well, I'm trying to think. I mean, I've been told no a lot. Trying to think of something like specific, because to be honest with you, it's almost on a day-to-day basis. Like you get told no in some way, form or another. Recently, I guess, you know, I've been writing a bunch of new songs and like submitting them for different publishing companies, trying to get, you know, you try to, as an artist, try to get something in like a movie or a commercial or something like that, and almost every song you send in is a no. You know what I mean? It's very hard to get like that one, and there's thousands of people doing that, but no's never like turned me off. They never like, oh, I guess I'm not good at this. Like I said, like having, you know, people on the level of like, you know, like Pharrell and those people like believing what I do. So that kind of stays within me. Like I know this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I may still make things that aren't that good, but like I still know this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So I still have that it's almost like a foundation. So if I write a song and someone's like, hey, like the pedal steel isn't syncable, like we can't use that. Like, all right, fine, I'll do another one. And but I mean, as a creative person, you shouldn't stop after getting a yes, anyways. So I feel like the no's, like we were talking about before, it's good to get. Obviously, you need some yeses because you need to be successful.
Good confirmation.
Yeah, you need some yeses, but the no's are just as important, maybe even more important in their own way, because it just makes you work harder. But I would say, yeah, that recently most of the no's I've been getting are in that format. This song isn't that good, and it's just like, cool, I'll write another one. And like, oh, this isn't that good. Cool, like, and eventually, you know, you put in the time, the whole 10,000 hours thing. You know, I'm looking forward to getting there. I don't know how many hours it's been, but
I'm gonna guess you have a good many in
yeah,
there.
a good many, yeah.
So you have, I love how you keep coming back to that person where that gives you that confirmation.
Mm-hmm.
In your case, Pharrell,
Mm-hmm.
it's wicked awesome.
Yeah, I hate saying it sometimes because it's like, you know.
No, I mean, you know, obviously you had something and have something that
Mm-hmm.
was really important and shined to them. What kind of advice would you give someone that maybe needs that type of confirmation? Maybe it's not Pharrell. I'm sure they would
Sure.
love that as well, but maybe just in their personal day-to-day life.
Yeah, that's like right when I finished up that the show thing. I was talking to a lot of like younger kids, like doing some school visits and things. And the thing I would always tell them is to just be yourself and to work as hard as you can. And it's like the most obvious advice. You know, it's almost, you know, your parents tell you that. Like you want something profound, but really that's the most profound thing I could think of. Being yourself is important because you're the only person that's like you, and there's a uniqueness to that, and there's something special about that. And so many people get lost in trying to act like someone else or be like someone else, and obviously you need mentors and you need role models and people to look up to and people to aspire to be. But you need to do it in your own way, and a lot of that has to do with like the working hard component. Like when I first started playing guitar, I would play, you know, every day, but like not that often. And I read this magazine article about Mark Tremonti, who's a great guitar player. He's in Creed. You know, it's funny to mention Creed in any capacity, but he's an amazing guitar player, and he was one of my favorites at the time. And he talked about how he practiced like 8 hours a day. So when I read that, I just put that on my wall, and I practiced 8 hours a day. And just like I was talking about before, you try copying other people when you first start. You know, you just to get an idea of how they, you know, approached the same thing you're approaching. And if you do that with multiple people, if you know, there's thousands of guitar players out there you could do that with. Like you eventually, like I said, you kind of create your own like basket of, you know, ideas, and they kind of feed on each other, and you create your own style through that. So, and there's no shame in that. You know, there's no shame in sounding different than anybody else. And that was my insecurity with doing the show, The Voice, because I felt like I was not qualified to be there as a singer. And that was what Pharrell kind of instilled in me. He's like, no, I mean, you got your own thing, you got your own lane, like that's awesome, do that. And so that's like what I tell people, don't feel like you have to do something like someone else is doing it, because it'll get old, you know. People are going to get tired of it. People will be able to tell, you know. And people like new stuff, you know what I mean? People are constantly craving new technology, new art, new music, new everything. So, and then the other quote I guess that goes with that is, there's always room for you in whatever field it is. Like you just have to be good enough. And I think a lot of that just comes from working as hard as you can.